Love, love, until I feel the breath of the Spirit flowing in me.
Hello, welcome. My name is Lucia Pace, and today my guest is Wenz Edy from the Missionaries of Gods Love in Burwood, St. Benedict's in Burwood, Melbourne. Welcome to the program, Deacon Wenz.
Yes, thank you.
Deacon, I understand that in November this year you're going to be ordained a priest.
That's correct.
Congratulations, Deacon.
Thank you, thank you.
We're interested in knowing how the Spirit of life, the Spirit of God, worked in your life to prepare you for this moment in time.
Right. I think if I want to look back to my, as it were, the start of my vocation,
Yes.
I think pretty much from the family.
Yes.
You know. My family is a Catholic family, yes, and my mom and my dad come from Flores Island, which is the only island in Indonesia which has the 95% majority as Catholic. So pretty much I'm a cradle Catholic, you
Right,
know, and
okay.
from the upbringing, you know, from the early days, really, yes. And I picked up my vocation from the family because the Sunday Mass has been, you know, the tradition of our families, and Sunday Mass is the opportunity for family to socialize with others, and I also can meet my friends, and you know, by attending the Mass I can see the movement in the Mass and how the priest leading the people in the sacrament, and I just struck by the all the liturgical rite ceremony,
Okay.
you know, and yes, from that, I think, from that early days, I can feel that I want to be like
Yes.
one.
So was there anything about the liturgical rite in particular that
Yes.
captivated you?
Yes, I think when the priests elevate the body and blood of Jesus, that's the moment that's really captured me.
As a child?
As a child.
So about how old were you?
Well, it will be, I think it was until between 4 and 5.
Okay,
Yeah,
right, so it's
4
quite
and 5
early.
It's quite early,
And
yes.
as
yes.
a child, you were captivated by
Yes,
the priest.
yes,
and so, what
yes.
did you do? What did you do as a child with that?
Well, of course, I copied that, you know.
Oh, you copied it.
You know, when the priest elevate the host, and I didn't understand about the liturgical, I didn't understand about the flowing of the Mass, but one that I picked up was when the priest elevate the host, and I felt like that's really a grandeur movement, really something divine about it.
Something that captivated you.
Something captivated me, so I started to play Mass in the house with my brother.
Oh.
You know, I have my younger brother, so I would, you know, take the tablecloths and wrap it around me, and then I started to elevate something
That's amazing.
that, you know.
Little did you know at that time that the Spirit of life was speaking to you internally.
Yes, I guess.
And captivating you, and then, you know, playing out the role.
Yes,
that you're about to be ordained.
Well,
in.
yes, I never thought about it in that early days. Really, you know,
Right.
it's all.
So what happened then? So you observed the priests, you went to Mass, and so what happened then? Did you?
Well, I think yes, I wanted to become a priest, but that's kind of a childhood dream. You know, like you want to become a pilot, you want to become a policeman, but to become a priest was, I guess, the first thing that I wanted to be when I growing old, I guess. But then when I went to school, in the primary school, it stays there. the desire to become a priest stays there, but I guess it's got distracted by other things as well.
Okay.
Like,
So did you go to school at the island that you were?
No. Well, I forgot to tell the story. I think my parents went out from the island, from Flores, which is in the eastern part of Indonesia, to western part of Indonesia.
So they migrated?
Yes, they migrated. But they didn't get married in Flores, actually. They got married when they met in Sumatra, you know, in the western part of Indonesia. They got married there, and I was born there. And I guess in the new situation, when they are out of their tradition, their home, they were looking for community, and the church has been, you know, a welcome community, a home, I guess, for my parents, and I found it as well. You know, I found it like the church is the community of the church is our home, our second home.
Okay.
Yes.
So what else influenced you, do you think? Like, how did you look upon the priests or the nuns or the exemplary models of the church? How did you perceive them?
I had a very good priest, especially
Positive, was it?
very good, very dedicated priest. He was a Polish priest. He came to Indonesia as a young missionary, and I think, as far as I knew, he died there. And then he was the one who baptized me. I was struck by his pastoral approaching to the children, and I just want to be like him, really.
Okay, so he had a good influence on you as a child?
As a child.
And by this time, was this in Jakarta or back in...
He was in Sumatra, in Western Indonesia.
In Western Indonesia.
Yeah.
So then you moved to Jakarta?
Yes, I did.
And
yes.
You...
Yeah, I went to school there.
Yes.
I spent
About how old were you there when you went to Jakarta?
About 5.5 years.
Right. We're going to go to a break very shortly, but perhaps when we come back from the break, you can give us your experience, what happened to you in Jakarta.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Stay tuned, we'll be back shortly.
Love, love, until I be but breath of the Spirit flowing in me.
Welcome back. My guest today is Deacon Wenz Edy from the Missionaries of Gods Love, who will be ordained in November this year. Deacon Wenz.
Yes.
Prior to the break, you were mentioning that your family had shifted to Jakarta,
that's right.
And what happened then?
Well, it's interesting. I guess it's also interesting moment in my life, because that's when the first time I found myself in the context of primary school and secondary school, where I would be the only one who has the different faith. As a Catholic, as Christians in the whole. Among the Muslim students.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So from Flores Island, it was predominantly Catholic.
Yes.
And now you've moved to Jakarta, and it's predominantly Muslim.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So now you're the only Catholic in the class. So what happened? How did that affect you?
Well, it's interesting, because I found myself not really threatened a lot, but I found myself as a unique person, because everybody looked at me as a different person, different in faith and different in race as well. So I found myself like everybody wanted to know me, to know my faith, to know my background, why I am different as not Muslim like them, So it was a great moment, not a traumatized moment, but I treasure it as really great moment for me to know my faith.
How did it teach you to know your faith more?
Because I guess
by going to a Muslim.
Yes, my parents couldn't afford me to go to private school, Catholic private school, but they sent me to public school. So public school, of course, the majority will be Muslim, and And then and I found myself being asked by the Muslims friend about my faith. So in that way, I felt like, well, if they asked about a little bit information about my faith, I need to know about my faith as well, of course. So that's why deep in my heart, I had this desire, to know my faith more, to know my faith, to know
the
more,
doctrine,
to know the doctrine. Not really complicated one, but at least enough to engage in conversation with my Muslim friends, to explain the things that I can explain as a little children, primary school. So it was a lovely time.
So you were comparing your faith with their faith, and it was a form of exchanging information.
Yes,
and so
in a very healthy way, of course.
In a healthy way, and in researching your faith, you've grown to understand it more the doctrine of the Catholic faith.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow. I can see that the Spirit of Life had its way there too, because here you are now being inspired to learn more about your traditional faith. Yes. Okay, so what happened after that?
Well, because in the public school in Indonesia, the Christian students wouldn't have the religion class, so we need to go to every Sunday to our local parish to go to Sunday class, like a religion class, and then they will give that whatever we have in the class, they will send the report to the school. In that way, we are completed the requirement to have religion class, and then because of that hunger, I guess, the desire to know my faith more, I found myself going to the church every Sunday, not because my parents now ask me to go, but I do want to go.
It was your own natural desire.
Yes,
something was drawing you.
Yes,
something was drawing you.
Because I need more information about my faith, in order to give to share it with my friends in the school day, in the weekdays. Because that's what happens in the weekdays. They do have their classes, the religion class and the Muslim class, and I often found myself just sit there to be with them and learning a little bit about their faith, and then they really respect it. They really respect my presence in the class, and it was a lovely time. I loved it. I loved my primary and secondary school time at that time, as an exchanging of faith. Yes, and one thing that's still struck in my head. I guess the way I try to compare the initiation, and when I was about to receive my first communion in the church, my Muslim friend was
being initiated. I think you were saying.
Yes. Because in the Catholic faith, first communion is one of the initiations, sacrament of initiation. So when I was about to receive my first communion, my Muslim friend was asking me, what was that? What is first communion? I was thinking, well, how can I explain this to my Muslim friends? So I picked it up. One thing: every Muslim boy has to be circumcised in order to initiate it as their process of initiation to full adults,
young manhood,
men in the faith. So I said, well, first communion is like circumcision rites in the Muslim, in your religion, and then I think they could accept it, and they can understand why it is important for me.
Right.
So yes, that's the way.
It's a step of the process.
Yes, a step of the process.
That's quite remarkable for a young man to think about that.
Yes.
I think too, in listening to you, it just proves to me that we can have harmony, can't we, between faiths if we're respectful. If we're respectful to one another, and we can take a positive approach, and find what is in common between humanity. we're at that time again in our segment to go for a break. So
Okay.
I'd be interested in hearing what happened after that.
After that,
Yes.
okay.
We'll be back shortly.
Love, till I feel but breath of the Spirit flowing in me. Love, till I feel but breath of the Spirit flowing in me.
Welcome back. My guest today is Deacon Wenz Edy from the Missionaries of God's Love at St. Ben's in Burwood. Now, Deacon Wenz, what happened after primary and secondary school where you had that encounter with Muslim peers? Positive encounter?
Yes, it was positive. After the positive encounter, now my family decided to go back to Flores.
Yes.
And in Flores, my dad actually, asked me to, they put me into a minor seminary. It's like a boarding school.
Yes.
For high school, and because the reason was simple, because the seminary, the minor seminary, was the best education that you can get as a young man. So my dad just put me there. I didn't know about minor seminary as the preparation for the young man to become a priest later on. So I found myself in the community in very well structured life. Different
order?
Not congregation. This is like a minor seminary, a private school,
Okay,
I guess,
right.
all boys school. So we are in the boarding school, like boarding school. So I had a well structured life, community life with other boys, and I found myself like, oh wow, this is different, because I used to surrounded by my Muslim friends. Now all are Catholics, and it's a totally new experience how to live in the community. But I guess I am learning. I'm learning to be called, to become a priest. I found myself, yes, I think this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then after that, after I finished the minor seminary, I applied to a Carmelite congregation, and they received me, and then I had training, initial formation for 2 years. I thought that everything under my control, everything under the plan, according to the plan. Well, but when I was about to publicly profess my initial formation, I had a health issue. So the Carmelite congregation asked me to leave, and then I was, quite disappointed at the moment, and I felt like I found myself complain to God. What happened here, God?
So did you lose your faith at all? Did you?
Almost. Well, we'll get there. I mean, I found myself, look, God, I've been doing the good things. I went to minor seminary. I applied to the Carmelite congregation. I want to become a priest. But then, look, now everything, I felt like every door was shut before me. So what I did was, I had this disappointment. I felt like my life is not in control. I want to take control of my life. So I said to God, look, okay, God, this is the line. You are there, and here I am. Okay, I want, in a way, I won't go to do or to disturb your business or something. So in a way, in other words, that I went away from the church.
So
I disappointed with the church, and I complained to God. And yes, 2 years I didn't go to the mass.
2 years you didn't go to mass.
Yes.
You not at all, or did you? Or
Well, I went to the church just to please my mom.
to please your mum. And what happened? How did you perceive the church then?
I looked at the church, and then I felt like, well, all the priests, in my place in Flores were living like a king, like all people respect them. But then I looked at them in a different way. Like, if I want to become a priest, then I won't be I won't do the same.
Yes,
like
you don't
him.
want to be seen as a
As
lauded
a
up
king.
as a
Yes,
priest. You wanted
yes,
to be more
yes.
of a servant.
Yes, a
service,
servant,
yeah.
to be among the people. You
Yes.
see.
So you saw these priests different to the first priests that you saw as a child?
I think so. Yes,
Different?
It's a different situation. You know.
And what did that do for you?
I think it shaped my understanding about priesthood.
Yes.
Yes, you
And
know, as the one who come to serve people, to be among them. Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
And did that encourage you to still explore priesthood? Or?
I still, as a matter of fact, I still study theology back then as a lay student, even though I wasn't belong to any congregation or any diocese, but I still study theology. I still want to know my faith. I still go to the church, not really often, but I start to see the priesthood in a different way.
Okay.
You know, it's not a social status. It's not to be served,
No.
but the one who served.
Yes.
Really.
Okay, now you've seen that, and you went away from your faith. So where did you go to? What did you do? What opened up for you then?
Well, it was at the same time the Reformation era came to Indonesia, immersed, raised in Indonesia.
Reformation era for...
Yes, political Reformation era, 1998, and I found myself as a lay student had this responsibility to change my people. So I found myself drawn to socialism and communism. You know, try to make better life for people. So I started student movement. I became an activist. You know, well, I caught up in a different demonstration as well as a student. So it was a great time as well. I think it was an enlightenment moment for me that. Yes, if I want to become a priest, or if I want to become whatever in the future, I want to, you know, serve the people. Yeah, that was my aim.
Now,
Yes.
we've got a short time to go, but from meeting you before the interview, you then explored priesthood again, I believe,
Yes.
through a Holy Spirit seminar that you attended, and
Yes,
you
I
met
did.
Father Ken Barker
Yes,
with the
yes.
Missionaries of Gods Love.
Yes,
And-
before that, actually, sorry. In Flores, I started to involve in the youth ministry because at that time my local parish saw me and then he invited me to get involved in the youth ministry, and at that time I met Father Ken. Father Ken Barker came to the parish, and I got in the little chat with him, and interview, and then and he invited me to Australia to join this congregation.
Deacon Wenz, unfortunately we've run out of time for our program, but I know you've got a lot of detail building up to meeting Father Ken Barker of the MGLs, Missionaries of God's Love. So could you please come back another time to complete the second phase of your journey?
Of course. Yes.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. We'll
Thank
see
you
you
for
again
having
next
us.
time. Thank you for your company. You've been watching The Spirit of Life. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place.
Bring His joy.